Alright, today I'm going to talk about the final drive of the Cruiser and how it is unique. Now the final drive would be defined as the last gear reduction of torque until it's applied to the back wheel. So in this case we have a chain drive just like a motorcycle would have, starting at the transmission case and going back to the rear sprocket. Originally we had a sprocket that came with the gear reduction and clutch kit. It was really poor sprocket and didn't quite give us the final drive ratio that we wanted. So Corey went ahead and drew up this sprocket, which has around four more teeth than the previous sprocket. It's also a different thickness metal that actually fits this chain really well. This is a very standard chain. It's a 1/2 inch pitch, which is also the same pitch as a bicycle chain, but it's a little bit more heavy duty, and it's actually a different series of chains, so it's wider. So you can apply a lot more torque to it, and you can run a thicker sprocket, which gives you a longer wear life. So after Corey drew the sprocket up on CAD, we went ahead and cut it out on the water jet, and we got a really nice tooth profile. And then we went back with the angle grinder and actually chamfered both sides of the teeth so that the chain would actually ride up onto the teeth properly. And at first glance this looks like a normal 40 series motorcycle sprocket, but it's actually one that we cut here on the water jet. Another interesting thing about this final drive is you notice our tensioner here. It's a static tensioner. Same way most motorcycles these days use a static tensioner. We were running not very much chain slack because there's no moving rear suspension, so we don't have a suspension pivot radius to mess with our chain drive radius that would give us changing chain tension over different suspension movements. Therefore, we can use this real simple roller setup just to take out most of the slack. It actually works very well. If you look back here, you'll see this kind of bright, shiny red billet piece, and that is actually axle stay. It's off of a BMX bike. Most bicycles with a horizontal facing dropout cut have this, and we needed some pretty nice sturdy ones just because there's so much more pressure, or I should say tension, on this chain than a normal bicycle chain. This motor has about 2 horsepower, and I think Lance Armstrong was only rated about 1/3 of a horsepower. So if you think about how much more tension on the chain that is, that's, you know, like a multiple of 6. So it's a lot more tension. So without these, it basically just, no matter how tight your bolts are, that the axle inches forward. So that's another kind of reliability feature to hold our chain tension here. The chain tension roller is another interesting detail that's crucial to constant chain tension. I'd pointed out the axle stay earlier, but this is actually what takes up the slack in this chain. This is a polyurethane wheel, and it was actually off a skateboard originally because we didn't want to wait for just plain poly stock to come in the mail. So I snagged the skateboard wheel, which already had the bearings in it, and half the work done for me because the bearings were already in it, and just went ahead and machined a groove for the chain to sit in to help, you know, with keep the chain from walking side to side. But it actually makes it really fairly quiet means to take up slack in the chain, as opposed to having like a tooth sprocket, idler sprocket. And the bearings can handle pretty decent speeds and loading. Payback 7s. The last feature would be right here. This first sprocket actually has a freewheel inside of it, much like the sprocket on the back of a bike. So when you're pedaling this, you're not actually turning all the gears in the motor. It's actually coasting right here, so you don't get a whole bunch of friction losses while you're pedaling it under your own power, which is really nice.